November Tests, team of the week for the third week of internationals, folks. Let's go through 15 players who stood out at the weekend, highlight some key stats and moments and whatnot, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. No All Blacks on my list, so look away now, New Zealand fans. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We are less than 1,000 subscribers to go to get to the 100k mark, which would be a pretty magic one. I've kind of picked them in more or less the order that I chose them. I'm going to start with this fella. He's got some competition this week, and we will do some honourable mentions at the end, but George Ford. I swear, he's one of these guys who I think the opposition almost seem to respect him more than his own fans at times. This guy's selection gets criticised a fair bit on social media, but the dude played pretty well. And remember, England were down, like they won pretty emphatically, but were down in this game. Remember, 12 points to 5 down. 2 clutch drop goals from him to make it a 1-point game as they went into the sheds and had a hand in steering them through to what was a pretty good victory in the end. I mean, 2 drop goals, 2 conversions, and a penalty. I did think his kicking was a little bit, like kicking from hand, was a little bit off the mark early. Like when they were putting some pressure on the ABs, I felt like one of the early kicks at least was a little bit of a let-off, but overall you're getting pretty good positive value from George Ford, and his numbers are cracking. Not the kind of stuff that he's really that known for. Everyone just thinks, oh, he just likes to put in spiral bombs. But 7 carries for 51 meters, those are great numbers. He beats a defender. He makes 13 from 13 tackles. People talk about him as a revolving door. Apparently not. He sets up a try. The one for Ollie Lawrence, which was a pretty sweet one. Lawrence did the hard lifting in that one, but still. And as I said, he's got the 2 clutch drop goals. Doesn't concede any penalties, only the 1 turnover conceded. He's a big part, I feel like, in steering England to victory in that match up against my All Blacks. Another one who I thought did pretty well is Caelan Doris. I'm chucking him there at number 8. He did start at number 7, but he switched to 8 pretty early in the second half when Jack Conan went off. He may not have got man of the match because Mack Hansen got 3 tries. Basically, if you get 3 tries, you're essentially guaranteed to get player of the match unless you get it after they've already made the announcement. But Caelan Doris is back fit and he's looking hungry for work as they put on a record performance against the Wallabies. Wallabies games against the Irish are usually close. Not this one. He gets a try. Close range one. A couple of backs trying to stop him. It's never going to happen. The forwards would have hard enough time trying to stop Caelan Doris from close range, so he gets that. 10 carries for 47 meters. He's the top Irish carrier, and he's the top Irish forward for run meters. So he gets that leg drive of his going because he doesn't have any defenders beaten there. He just runs into you and just keeps running part of the time. 2 passes and a line-out win, so mainly looking to run up the guts, old Caelan. And then 15 from 15 tackles. Top tackler of the match, wins a turnover, does concede 1 penalty, but goodness me, you're your top carrier, top tackler, score a try. What else do you want? Caelan Doris, pretty bloody good. The game which was held this morning, my time here in NZ, I'm going to go with the big Argentinian, and again, he's not going to get man of the match because there's sexier stuff going on than what Pedro Rubiolo was doing. But he managed to get himself a try as well. Another kind of burrowing over from close range effort that won't make as many highlight reels as some of the other ones this week, but equally important as the Pumas came back from 21-0 down against Scotland. 10 carries is him looking to get his hands on the ball. 10 meters for his 10 carries is not that much to write home about, I'll admit. But locks, the big ones, especially like this fella, it's hard for them to get low to crank through the meters. There's a few locks who are exceptions, but these are pretty standard numbers, not poor numbers by any means, but the sheer amount of carries he's getting through, the work rate to help tire out the Scottish defenders who did look tired come the end of the game. You feel like he's a big part in forcing them to make those tackles. 3 passes, wins a line out, 16 from 19 tackles. He's among the top tacklers for Argentina in this one, although I think he did have Ashman kind of go through him for one of the tries. He hung on to him, but couldn't stop him from getting over the line anyway. Wins a turnover, has a dominant tackle, Yeah, Pedro Rubiolo in the second row for Argentina, doing very good things. And then where do you put this guy? Andre Esterhuizen. Do you put him in the midfield or do you put him on the flank? Because the dude was playing both. I've chucked him in at 12, but you could equally put him in on the flank. I have no idea because I like to do depth chart videos about all the teams, at least tier 1 teams, come the end of the year to see who played how many minutes in which position. What am I going to do with Andre Esterhuizen? Rusty's not thinking of my depth chart videos. How am I supposed to chart this? He's a hybrid. He's the hybrid. He's this new player. I know there's been guys who... There's plenty of guys in the past who do this and can do a little bit of that, like forwards and backs, but this guy's becoming genuinely a hybrid, like a genuine option flank or midfield. And he does both in this game. He packs down scrums. He sets up, in that number 12 channel. He does both. 8 from 9 tackles. Those are pretty good flankers numbers. Remember, he's coming off the bench to do this. 8 carries, 36 meters. Those are pretty good numbers for a Lucy or for a midfielder. Second, I think, carries for South Africa in that game, to be fair. Beats the defender, has a line break, 4 passes and an offload. Doesn't concede penalties, doesn't cough up any ball. That's because this is a relatively new thing, I think, to the extent it's being used. Andre Esterhuizen needs some credit, and Rusty obviously, but for being one of these kind of pioneering players who's able to do it. Like, Ben Earl in the midfield and whatnot. We see other guys doing it, but none yet to the Andre Esterhuizen degree that I can think of. Frenchman from that France victory over Fiji, Ollivon, also played on the flank in this game too, so you can have him either place, but he was man of the match. They were a bit disrupted, the French, with injuries. Like, they lost a couple of their midfielders, which I don't think helped them click, but he still looked pretty good, did old Ollivon. Scored himself a try. Great support line. BLBRA tearing down the wing. Unselfish to give it to Ollivon, who's got the speed and the power to go over. So try from him. 3 carries, 21 meters. Most of these run meters are the try. He got probably half of them at least. Beats a defender. But also defensively, man. 17 from 17 tackles. Massive defensive shift against a Fiji team who loves busting tackles. Wins a turnover. 11 line-out wins as your top guy for the week. He was very, very busy in the air. 6 passes. Does concede a couple of penalties. Does have a couple of coughed up balls. But, yeah, man, Ollivon in the second row to start with as well. And then on the flank. So he's a hybrid as well, but both his roles have been in the forwards. I've left this guy out for too long. 3 tries. 3 tries, Mack Hansen. By his own admission, like, not the hardest tries to score, but you get 3 tries in 27 minutes. That's bloody good. It's bloody good. He's creating his teammates. He's a good team man like that. But he's still got to be in the right place, the right time. He's still got to catch the ball. He's still got to finish him. He will score harder ones than the one he scored. Third one is probably his most impressive one. But yeah, 3 tries. And then I think even more impressive than the 3 tries. Although that's kind of saying a lot, but he just looked really comfortable at fullback. I know he plays club rugby there, but just to chuck him in at test match rugby up against, the Australians who aren't looking great at the moment, but are still a pretty decent side. It wasn't that long ago they got a victory over the Boks at Ellis Park, which, beating the Boks has been tough for everybody this year. So for Mack Hansen to step in with Keenan out and with Osborne out, seemingly third choice fullback, but he looked very, very comfortable. Maybe he surpasses Osborne. Maybe Osborne goes back to the midfield now when back fit. Maybe he gives Keenan a run for his money. I don't think so, but geez, it's a good option to have. Good problem for Andy Farrell to have. 9 passes, so very busy in terms of his interactions, like getting hands on the pill. Being a distributor, that's a cracking thing to have. 3 kicks, 3 from 3 tackles. So he's got all the 3s. This one, 3 tries, 3 kicks, 3 from 3 tackles, 3 turnovers conceded, 3 line breaks. It's a game full of 3s. Doesn't concede any penalties though, 22 meters. But yeah, 3 tries, 22 meters. That's a pretty good return from Mack Hansen. I probably should have had this guy on the board earlier. Maybe it's because he did it to my team that he's a bit late. Nothing against him, but geez, Ollie Lawrence was impressive. My goodness, he was tearing it up. His try, the power as he gets rid of All Blacks tacklers, phenomenal. And then maybe even more impressive than the try, I'm not sure, is the assist to Dingwall. It's almost like so worried about him were the All Blacks defenders that they were just drawn to him like a magnet. He's able to get the pass away for Dingwall, and Dingwall goes over pretty much untouched. I love it. Not so much when it happens against my team, but I love it when guys are that kind of feared or, marked. They overmark players that it creates opportunities elsewhere. It's a prime example of that. 6 carries, 27 meters, 4 defenders beaten. 4 defenders beaten is the top for that match. Gets a line break. He's got a couple of passes, including the try assist, and defensively, 11 from 12 tackles. Doesn't concede penalties, just the 1 turnover conceded. Ollie Lawrence, it's a pretty good player, as is Matteo Carreras for Argentina. They got him into the game. They got the 19 carries for a winger is stupidly high. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. He's got more. I've picked 3 back 3 guys, obviously. He's got more carries than the other 2 guys combined. That doesn't usually happen. Do any of my players have 19 carries this week? I don't think so. That's a lot of carries to be getting on the ball. Well, if he's a weapon, why not use him? And they did. 19 carries. 104 meters. 6 defenders beaten, which was right up there with the top guys this week. Has a line break. He doesn't get himself on the score sheet, which is almost a miracle in itself, but geez, he was just such a weapon for the Argentinians getting go for ball. He's such a dangerous player. 3 passes and an offload. The main blot on his assignment was he's the guy who falls for Finn Russell's pass to Dempsey. Short, but he sells it long with the look. Matteo buys it, hook, line, and sinker. So 7 from 10 tackles. Still, 70% tackle rate for a winger is not bad. But that one, he was definitely, I don't even think he missed a tackle because he was just sold down the river. But he's a real offensive threat, is Matteo Carreras. I haven't got anyone from the Welsh game just yet. I did put Alex Mann here. He was in the wars, man. He was getting battered. A couple of guys infringed by tackling this guy. He came in for a little bit of criticism with his selection as well, partly because Wales got a lot of good loosies, but also because he's not like the biggest guy, but he makes up for it with his effort, man. Alex Mann, 19 from 20 tackles. Is not the top tackler for Wales this week because they had to do a fair bit of defending, but he's top 3, and that's a hell of a return, including 2 dominant tackles. So he's, as I said, maybe not the biggest guy, but he can still put in a big hit. 2 turnovers, 1 is the most from any guy, or I think it was most for Wales or most for the match. But he was right up there in that match in terms of the amount of turnovers got. 9 runs for 23 meters, beats a couple of defenders, a line break. It's all right. 6 line-out wins. He's the top line-out guy for the match. 6 passes, no penalties conceded, no turnovers conceded. Absolute high work rate. If you don't have guys like Alex Mann making those tackles, because Japan's attacking numbers were not bad, then that becomes a all-new low for Wales. But Wales managed to hang on, win at the death, on the back of some performances like that from Alex Mann. Another one of the 14-man Springboks, Jan-Hendrik Wessels, he had to do this with a little bit of extra pressure on him, I feel, because they didn't have a specialist hooker on the bench. I know in the match preview for this one, a lot of people say, well, Russie's played Dion Ferry in the past, and they've had fun starting on the bench in the past as hooker cover, but that's on the bench. He didn't have a backup on the bench. He's basically expected to go out there and do the business, and with players down, props either side of him getting subbed, he still does the business. Jan Wessels. 9 carries, 20 meters is good numbers. Not phenomenal numbers, but good numbers for a front rower, including a line break. The line out is at 83% for the box, which is not as high as they would like, but compared to a lot of the lineouts this week, it's among the better ones. A couple of passes and a defensive shift. 10 from 11 tackles, wins a turnover. When you've only got 14 guys on the field, or at times 13, it is going to be harder, but yeah, he certainly looked pretty good, because remember, he's having to fill the shoes of Malcolm Marx. He didn't even get that many games, but he does get a game, which is pleasing for him to see. Another one from the Irish game, I've gone with Jameson Gibson-Park. He's still pretty instrumental in that number 9 jersey for Ireland. Like, you guys lost Sexton a few years ago. He's been a hard guy to replace. I feel like Gibson-Park's going to be a hard man to replace as well. Although you guys have got a lot of good 9s, he's a pretty great 9. Like, quick tap, keeping the ball moving. 2 assists. He's the one who passes it to Doris, who's able to target a couple of Aussie backline players right on their own goal line. And then he's got the dink for Henshaw at the death. Pretty sweet play. He's got really good vision, really good match awareness in that regard. 75 passes there, fed a bit of ball, 13 kicks, makes all his tackles, 5 from 5, beats a defender, has a line break, doesn't concede penalties, and just 1 turnover conceded from a 9 is pretty good going. So Gibson-Park had another good week. Another guy from the England game, Tom Roebuck. Yep, he was pretty good in the air against the ABs, and he's able to cap it off with a try. It's as the ABs are chasing the game. Loose pass, Pollock with a couple of hacks through, and Roebuck is able to finish it off. I feel like it was kind of deserved because he was looking dangerous before that. It's kind of an opportunist try, but he'd kind of deserved it in the build-up to that kind of moment. 8 carries, 85 meters, so he's the second meters guy for the entire match. Beats a defender, has a line break. Defensively, 6 from 8 tackles for a winger's a good shift, plus a turnover in there. 4 passes, an offload, a kick. Only the 1 turnover conceded. And as I said, his ability to compete in the air is pretty valuable. So Tom Roebuck, this guy whose stats don't really do him justice, Pablo Matera, came on as part of that, I don't know what squad you want to call it for the Argentinians, when they brought on 5 replacements. They brought on 2 new props. They brought on a new 19 combo. They brought on Pablo Matera, and things went well for them. Like, his stats, I don't think do him just 8 carries, 13 meters, but 8 carries when you're coming off the bench is a big injection of, like, presence. Like, if you consider Rubiolo started and had 10, Matera comes off the bench more than halfway through the game and has 8. He is making himself busy, even if it's only for 13 meters. A couple of passes, an offload, 5 from 6 tackles, and crucially for them, scores a try to help get them in front. Cracking stuff from him. Now, disgracefully, I've left the props to last. I shouldn't do this, because I always criticize World Rugby for, like, never nominating props for their key awards. But here we go. Jean-Baptiste Gros for France. He had a big physical presence compared to the week before, where they didn't have such a good time against the Springboks, which was pleasing to see. Like, 1 carry for no meters. There's nothing really to write home about there. A couple of passes, but what do you look at for a prop? Does he concede any penalties? No. Were they strong at scrum time? Yes. Did he have a big defensive shift? 16 from 17 tackles. Yes, very big defensive shift from him. There was a couple of times the Fijian attackers were able to isolate individual or pairs of, like, you know, French guys with low numbers on their backs, but Jean-Baptiste Gros, from memory, wasn't one of those guys. It was his prop partner or the big locks who were getting isolated. So, yep, a part of a big maul, which gets Julien Marchand a try as well. So, good performance from him. And then lastly, I am going to put one of the losing players on here this week. I'm going to chuck in Marco Riccioni from Italy. They had a pretty good scrummaging performance to start the game. They forced Rusty to pull the pin on a couple of his props early. They managed to turn the box over on their box feed. They managed to win it. And then, like, the box really came into the physical dominance in the second half. I feel like partly once Riccioni goes off. I mean, Ferrari's not a bad player, but I think Riccioni proved his worth. Doesn't concede any penalties against the box scrum. 11 from 11 tackles, including 2 dominant tackles. Like, he doesn't offer much in terms of his ball carry. Like Gros, he only has 1 carry for no meters and the 1 pass, but a big physical element is not easy against that Springbok pack, even if it was a much-changed Springbok pack. That's the 15. I got a bunch of honorable mentions. We could be here all day with them, so I'll keep it fairly limited. Marchand for France obviously scored a try and was one of their better players too. Ashman got a couple of tries for Scotland. It was a good first half from them. It starts the second half. Gajo, the prop for Argentina, came on. He was one of those props that came on and made a real difference, busted a bunch of tackles. Zuliani was winning turnovers for the Italians against the Springboks. Ben Earl was really busy on the carry despite his yellow card against the ABs. Aldrit was likewise chewing through some run meters for the French. Etoje was big on the tackle for that English game. I feel like Ryan Baird is maybe my number 1 snub, because that guy was immense against the Australians. He scored a try. He was one of their top tacklers, top lineup guys. He was really, really everywhere. Pollock obviously added some spark from the bench for England, helped set up a try, caused disruption for the ABs. Dempsey was good, as I said, for the Scots, particularly in the first half. Some backs. Mone van der Berg was really great for the box as well. You guys have got some really good attacking-minded halfbacks in South Africa. Alex Mitchell with his aerial balls gave the All Blacks issues for sure. Thomas Williams set up like 3 tries for Wales. Santi Carreras. Ooh, he's probably my biggest snub of the week. Santi Carreras changed the game when he came on at 45 minutes against Scotland. Took the game by the scruff of the neck. So I apologise, Santi, you should be in this side. Dan Edwards scored a try for Wales. Jared Evans with the clutch penalty for Wales. Deportes scored a couple of tries for France. Tupaya, I thought, was one of the better All Blacks players and a pretty forgettable one for us, from our point of view. Roebuck for Fiji was dangerous, scored a nice try. Henshaw, good outing for the Irish, scored a try as well at the death. Damien Willems is probably the other guy that I feel like I've snubbed more than anyone else. It's probably Santi Carreras, Damien Willems, and maybe Ryan Baird. These are the 3 that I think I've snubbed the hardest. Not intentional, but I mean, Mack Hansen gets 3 tries. But if you want to chuck Willems in there, I would not blame him. He played immensely well. He was Mr. Everywhere for the Box. Fei Boss on the left wing was dangerous for the English. Wainingolo for Fiji was likewise dangerous. Osada on the wing was dangerous for Japan. Yazaki continues to impress at fullback, the youngster. That's enough. No more honourable mentions. We're going to be here until lunchtime, and it's already 10 past 11. You guys take care of yourselves. As I said, subscribe to the channel if you like all the stats and recaps and all that stuff. There'll be more to come. We've still got some big rugby matches in November to come. Take care of yourself, folks, and I will talk to you guys again soon. See you later.